Gilbert Burns versus Mike Mallet is now official for the main event of some UFC fight night in Canada. And what the fuck is this matchmaking? Genuinely, why the hell is Gilbert Burns in a main event? I am a huge Gilbert Burns fan. I might be the biggest Gilbert Burns fan you're gonna see who's not related to him, or someone who knows him. The dude's on a 4-fight losing streak. Like I genuinely haven't seen him win a fight in what will be 3 years when this fight takes place. Gilbert Burns will not have won a fight in 3 years, and he's in a 5-round main event. Make it make sense, bro. Make it make sense. It makes no sense. I can't even justify this shit, bro. Do I think he's gonna beat Mike Mallet? Honestly, yes. I do think he will beat Mike Malott. Does this need to be a 5-rounder? No. If this was the co-main event, I wouldn't be mad. Give Ayman Zahabi a main event. Bro, what the fuck is it? I'm never, ever, 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 ever gonna advocate for Ayman Zahabi to have shit. Have him have a main event in front of his people while he's on a 7-fight win streak in the UFC. Or something crazy like that. Let me check the UFC rankings real quick. Because Ayman Zahabi's the 6th-ranked contender in the world. He just beat Chito Vera and Jose Aldo back-to-back. Dude's on like a 7-fight win streak in the UFC. Bro, let him have this. Let him have this. Hasn't lost a fight in like 5 years. Let bro main event a fight night. Give him a 5-rounder in front of his people. I don't understand why Gilbert Burns on a 5-fight losing streak against an unranked Mike Malott is the main event. And this brings me on to another rant before I even touch the matchup. I'm so tired of this shit. From the UFC. What the fuck does this matchup actually mean? If Mike Malott goes out there and beats Gilbert Burns, what the fuck does that mean? It means nothing. Oh man, Mike Malott gets ranked again. And? Like, literally, and? He's still gonna be like 4 fights away from a title. So why make this a main event? There's no stakes on this. We could have had a main event of Corey Sandhagen versus Ayman Zahabi, and that means something. We could have had Mario Batista versus Ayman Zahabi. That means something. Peyton Talbot versus Ayman Zahabi. They wouldn't do it because they're both on monster runs right now, but like, that means something. This main event means nothing for the division. Gilbert Burns is barely ranked at welterweight. He's ranked 11. So if he loses this fight, he'll probably drop out of the rankings, and Mike Malott enters the top 11 of the UFC welterweight rankings. And what? He's still like 4 fights away from a world championship. Damn, that's tough. So, like, I don't know what the thought process behind making this was. I get his brother plays in the NHL. That doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit. At least Ayman Zahabi is ranked 6 and on a pretty decent win streak at bantamweight. So if he wins his next fight, he'll probably be next in line for a title. If he fought Corey Sandhagen and beat Corey Sandhagen, you can make an argument for him to fight for a title. Especially if Jan is out for a long time. Him versus Merab for an interim belt is not crazy. So, I don't understand, like, what the fuck the thought process was making Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott a main event in Canada. There's other Canadians in the UFC. I get they're not ranked. That's because they're ass. But there's other Canadians. But whatever that was, you have a ranked Canadian. I would have honestly taken a Jasmine Jazdavicius main event over a Gilbert Burns main event. Why? Because it means something. Even though Jazdavicius lost her last fight, she's still 5-1 in her last six. She's still ranked sixth at 125 pounds. If anyone beats her, they're on a short list for title prospects. If anyone if she beats anybody, she's back in the mix for a title. I don't understand what the fuck the matchmaking is for this. Because they're probably gonna put Ayman Zahabi in a co-main event. They're probably gonna put Jasmine Jazdavicius somewhere on the card. So why not just make Ayman Zahabi the main event? He's the highest ranked guy there, in where it makes sense. But on to the actual matchup between Gilbert Burns and Mike Malott. Mike Malott's really good and he's very powerful, but his cardio is questionable as fuck. I've seen this guy gas out too many times, even in relatively low-paced fights. And Gilbert Burns, despite having asthma, will put a pace on you. Even even though he's old, even though he's washed, I think Gilbert Burns is still good enough to put a pace on Mike Malott and crumple him at the end of a third round after a crazy war in the first two rounds. I think Gilbert Burns still has one last war in him, and then I think he should retire. He's 40. He's never touching a title. He's way past his prime. Just let it be. You've had a legendary career. You've had like 20 something UFC fights. You've been in the UFC for like 10 fucking years. That is a accomplishment on itself. You fought Kamaru Usman for the title. You took prime Kamaru Usman to the fucking, like, to work. You beat Tyron Woodley. You beat Damian Maia. Like, you have good wins on your resume. You beat Neil Magny. You beat Wonderboy. Like, these are good all-time wins. Like, beating Neil Magny is a great win for your legacy. If you're like, trying to become an all-time great champion, maybe not. But just for a respectable career, you've had one of the most respectable careers a guy could ask for. You beat Oliver Albin Mercier, which no one will give you credit for, but I will, because he left the UFC and became a champion in the PFL. You beat Mike Davis. Mike Davis is still fucking people up. Like, you have such good wins. You beat so many good people. Dog, just call it a career. You've been around for too long. You got one last war in you. You're pushing 40. It's been fun watching you fight, but you're on a 4-fight skid. You're clearly just a little washed. You look terrible against Sean Brady. You look even worse against Michael Morales. Even if you win this fight, you're probably going to look like shit. I think Gilbert Burns should call it a career. And Mike Malott, or Mike Malott, I don't think he's anything special. I think he's a good fighter, a powerful fighter, but a good fighter. I think maybe at some point in his career he'll be a top 10 welterweight. I do not believe in him moving forward. I would never believe in him because I just don't think he's that good. I would always look at him sideways for losing to Neil Magny because he genuinely was ragdolling Neil Magny for 13 and a half minutes and gassed out to nothing. He was the one setting the pace. Neil Magny was just getting his shit kicked in. And then he just gassed out and quit. Yeah, no, I don't really believe in him. I don't think I ever will believe in him. I think he's just going to be a mainstay of welterweight for the next 7 or 8 years. That's all. But with that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all later.